Good evening and welcome to another episode of Clearly Ambiguous. Thank you for share, comments on the previous video. What are we talking about today? Well, today let's digress and forget what is happening in our immediate vicinity. Let's look at the comedy of errors that happens these days from the President's office in United States of America. Now, President Trump has decided that after him trying his multiple attempts to take credit for some sort of a ceasefire somewhere, well, he's tries very hard in the Middle East. He's tried very hard in Russia, Ukraine. President Putin basically is not taking a very good view of President Trump. And I think the reason for that is that President Trump is unable to appreciate that international diplomacy just does not work on just one level. It works in various layers. And actually, politics in most places, is a pretty complex process. You just can't oversimplify things because you believe that if you have been able to achieve certain goals in the past, you'll always be probably able to achieve those goals in a similar fashion, right? And mind you, belittling someone who is basically a head of state. See, I understand that you might not have that sort of respect towards somebody, but then again, that person does have the support of his nation's people, right? I'm not saying that he might be the ultimate majority over there, but then again, there would be a concern take for our case. Yes, we have a vibrant opposition in this country as well, but there are a lot of people in this country who have elected Prime Minister Modi, and at this point of time, of course, there is a lot of support that he carries in this nation, right? And thinking of the fact that just because in your country, when it comes to even with foreign policy, your foreign policy kind of changes according to the preferences of the party that is in power, might not be the case with other countries. Other countries might have oppositions, and that's what democracy is. They might oppose any elected government whatsoever, but then again, when it comes to presenting a united face on the world stage, the things might be very different. Now, President Trump has decided, you know what, he's had enough of foreign students on his campuses, and I think they are probably going to scrutinize, because I can understand why Americans are very concerned about the foreign students in their country, is because there are a lot of foreign students that United States today believes are digressing from education and getting more involved in their own politics, and this politics which United States might not want on its soil. Now, see, US has to understand that initially when they invited all kinds of foreign students, they essentially they wanted to have a two-way approach, right? One, they wanted students from other countries, technical talent from other countries, because they wanted to make their own nation progress, because they need more engineers, doctors, scientists, whatsoever. So obviously, the Americans have invested heavily in those forms of education which are either leaning more toward branches which are leaning towards science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And if you look at it, if you today just do a research on how many immigrant doctors are there today in the United States, roughly about 900,000, that is about 9.9 lakh doctors, according to figures in 2019 to 2023, are today in United States. Out of immigrant doctors in United States, around 26.5% are immigrant doctors, right? That is almost about 262,6 lakh doctors out of 9 lakh, like 900,000 out of that 260,000 doctors are immigrant doctors, right? And Out of that, the largest population, largest group, about 59,000 immigrant doctors are Indians. That is about 20 to 22% out of that. At the same point of time, China and Hong Kong, about 16,000 doctors, 6% of immigrant doctors population. Pakistan, 13,000 immigrant doctors, about 5%. Philippines, yes, of course, very prominent when it comes to nursing. Mexico, also a large contributor, particularly nursing and healthcare roles. Caribbean, medical graduates from schools in Caribbean have significant growth in numbers. Now, essentially, the nations that I've spoken about, most of the students do aspire to get a better job, so to speak, in their own field of choosing, right? And I mean, we as Indians should also realize that we've always spoken about. I remember when I was in school at that point of time as well, there was a lot of talk about brain drain, right? That meant that a lot of people who complete their higher education, instead of finding a job within their own country, tend to immigrate to United States or other countries to pursue their further studies and basically eventually get a job there and settle on there. So it's a loss to the country of origin, because obviously we are hoping that people after completing their higher education can get involved with, but for that we will probably need to make our higher education and our job market of extremely technical specialities grow in a better fashion, right? Now, I understand President Trump's desperation right now of getting all this political narrative that they might not like from of their campuses. But then again, it is the United States in various forms who has probably encouraged students who probably have political leanings, so that they could probably be spoon-fed certain ideologies which they would probably take back to their own countries of origin. And unfortunately, in this case, it's probably backfiring on United States. Also, United States has to understand that these very foreign students that they are probably looking to ban right now, they probably pay a much higher cost for the same education that is accessible to the students from within United States, right? So just because you want to, and then again, providing education, right? Even our country does that to nations which probably do not have robust education systems or enough colleges or so on and so forth. We give education to those pupils from those countries as well. And it is a form of diplomacy as well. So President Trump has to understand that although he might want to scrutinize the crop of students that are coming into his campuses, but at the same point of time, he just cannot, by one, what has happened to his executive decisions? He made these executive decisions about tariffs and see what has happened. I think he was too naive in believing the fact. See, I understand he needs one thing and one thing, because obviously he's gotten elected on the back of making America great again. But unfortunately, his tariff gamble has not paid for him. He has to understand that when, I don't know whether people around him want him to understand that, because I'm sure he, being, as he says, the supreme leader of the most powerful country in the world, might have really good advisors, but seems like the advisors that he had got on board, who had a very positive impact during his election campaign in becoming the president, are probably leaving him. I wonder what has happened to Vivek Ramaswamy. I wonder what has just happened to Elon Musk. Of course, there might be many things, but it was perceived, right? When you have an Elon Musk in the president's office, there are perceptions across the world that are established. Now, obviously, those perceptions are eroding because, and so is probably the faith in President Trump's leadership. But coming back to the education thing, right? Now, within our own country as well. If we see the way we criticize our education system these days. See, as far as I don't know what the political narratives and everything in education is concerned, but when it comes to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education in this country, we have been able to get talent which has created probably weapons like BrahMos or the satellites that and the entire space program indigenously which has been developed in India. So, of course, our own that is a product of our own education system. We also need to understand a lot many when we feel very proud about the fact that we have people of Indian origin who are basically leading in tech companies and they've probably got it educated in this country. So obviously that is a product of our education. Probably we need to work and get certain institutions which can absorb the talent which probably chooses to flee from this country in this country, and at the same point of time creating an environment so that they instead of looking westwards, probably people look inwards for when it comes to high paying jobs or technical jobs, or if they want to see, obviously if you want a scientist to probably stay in your country, you need to create those facilities within your own nation so that they can probably conduct that research for you, right? Of course, our current governments are working on it, and one fine day, I'm sure we'll probably be doing better than the United States of America. But coming back to what President Trump is doing right now, see, you just can't wave a wand in everybody's face, and you cannot just go about antagonizing world leaders, right? It could be Indians we might think we might hold Chinese in a very poor light, but nonetheless, I think they have a president who is there and who's at this point of time who is in charge in that country on whatever happens in that country. So President Trump trying to play a game of chicken of who draws first with the President Xi Jinping might not be working. And then again, in recent times, his statements about President Putin, which I think President Putin does not appreciate. See, if you want to bring peace and you want to probably take that as a win and to your own people and show that, see, listen, this is the great peacemaker, you probably need to work more on winning the confidence about. You can't just bring them into the Oval Office one day and bully them into something, right? I think what President Trump and the entire President Zelensky, I'm not a big fan of President Zelensky, but then again, I think he held his own, right? I think I mentioned this earlier as well, that they've both been TV personalities and they know how to be on television. But in this case, you just can't be too trigger happy with the statements that you make on the world stage. He is losing a lot of respect within his own NATO allies. I don't think so. The German chancellors take him seriously, or the British Prime Minister takes him seriously enough. They just might be being... See, President Trump has to understand that if somebody is not giving it back to him in the language that he is giving it to the people, it's just that those world leaders are just probably being polite, right? And I think it is United States which benefits more by having foreign students study in their campuses, right? Because if most of them study on their campuses and get absorbed within their own job market, so who is gaining? First of all, they are bringing you revenue for studying in your colleges. then they are learning things, and instead of going back to their countries, except for a very few, they are working for you. So you're probably getting the best of the best talent from across the world, and you're now trying to antagonize that. And you might think that by doing something like this, somebody is going to bend over. I don't think so. Nobody, like every student who's coming to United States to study is not coming there, and especially in fields of science, tech, engineering, and mathematics. The students who are coming from whichever country, whichever part of the world they are coming from, they are not coming there to seek political asylum. They want to be better doctors, better scientists, better engineers, better tech, you name it. If they want to do, say, MBAs and stuff like that and become better at business, they'll probably serve your interests better than they serve their own countries. But then again, if you want to antagonize the world like that, let's see how far it goes. See, I know my biases towards which are against the left, right? And I've always believed in the fact that there should be an open market economy. The competition should be there, right? Essentially supporting competition and open market everywhere. But right now, the poster boy of the world for free market economy and democracy and everything, liberalism, everything, I think United States is doing a pretty bad job at it. Because if this is the way it goes, I don't think so. They're going to be taken very seriously, right? So I think you can probably arm twist somebody in diplomacy more behind closed doors than because that's what happens, right? I think most of the world and most of the people around, they just they're okay with the fact that President Trump says this. We Indians are also jumping. There are a lot of Indians who are jumping with joy when President Trump, because obviously President Biden did such a bad job with us that we were very happy. We were probably thinking that, just when the Trump got elected, we thought, oh, we have our boy in the president's office and see what is happening. So there's a lot of disappointment, right? We don't have, I don't think so. We have more of a disappointment about what he keeps saying about trade and all. But I think it's hurt the Indian national pride as well when he says he is the one responsible for ceasefire and all. And we might have all kinds of differences, arguments, and TV debates going on all the time. But I think we have a lot of national pride in this country still, right? Cutting across beliefs, things, everything. See, I know we have politicians in this country who would want to fragment this country on the basis of a lot of stuff. But that is okay. They will all, politicians love to exploit the differences and see, think about it this way. Most politicians these days think about the fact that, instead of trying to win a larger constituency of people, how about I divide it into a smaller constituency of people, win them over, and because that gets me a majority to rule over the rest of them. So, that can happen, right? So, that is okay. And that is how President Trump's also come into power, right? So, I think just waking up one day and saying, foreign students are no longer welcome, or if I think just by doing this, United States might be able to achieve something. Probably they need to look at it a different way. If you do not welcome certain students, right, you should probably stop them at the point of entry. And I think Americans have a very stringent screening process when it comes to even getting a tourist visa. Visa, that sounded like pizza. Tourist visa in United States, right? So what are they doing? They should probably screen people better, right? They screen people's social media when they want to go travel within that country. Why are they not doing it with these students? Oh, probably, yeah, tourists might not be paying as much, because a tourist might visit United States for, say, a month or two, and that's about it. But then again, you have a student who's going to be there for 4, 5, 6, 10 years, paying for their education, paying for their lodging, boarding, everything. So yeah, big money. So when you get these people there, and now you're complaining, well, what can we say, right? As far as in the Indian diaspora being worried about this, I don't think so. The Indians would worry much about it, right? Because somebody who really wants to, because mostly if you look at the Indian diaspora, whichever country Indians usually go to, they usually end up in certain types of jobs and do end up contributing to the country that they move to in a good way, and they integrate better with the local population as well. So I don't think so the Indian diaspora is going to be worried much, or Indians in general in this country are going to be worried much. But as far as United States is concerned, I think I can make a video about what comes out of the president's office every day and do a satire video on it probably every day. So yeah, so do let me know what you think about this entire thing. Is it as ambiguous as it seems, and Americans are trying to make sense out of this, or if probably students should now look for other avenues? And what do you think would be better avenues now that United States is going to, do whatever they are going to do? So anyways, that's all I have to say today. I hope you liked something. If you did like something, please hit the like button. At least share it with one more person. And the reason that I make these videos is to share an opinion. And the reason I want to do that is because we should all share our opinion. At the same point of time, being sensitive about the fact that some people still might not like what you have to say. And to those people who usually do not end up liking what I usually say, well, I hope someday probably I can win you over as well. But till then, keep watching. Thank you for watching. And until next time, you take care of yourself. Bye for now.